And I usually said that for me, CECE has been like a lifesaver. So I was always like involved with their ups and downs with the church, but getting to know CECE has helped me a lot. And now I'm working as a staff with CECE, like part-time, and the other half of the time I work and serve with the church also. So one of the questions was, how has CECE impacted me personally? First is the love for God's word. So actually getting to get into the word and know how to study it and how to read the Bible. So that was one of the main things. Also, like through discipleship, that's one of the really things that I'm so grateful with the Lord for allowing me to be discipled by someone. Ruth is here, and she was the one who was super intentional to get to know me, and we said like once a month or every 3 weeks in the school in our university to just have some coffee or eat some cake and just talk about life and read some really good books. So that was like a really growing experience for me, and also it was the beginning of really like hard or really good commitment with the Lord and also with ministry. And one of the other things is community. So with CECE, they are all my family now, like the staff team and also the students. So the really good thing is that they are always welcoming people. So I felt like really welcome. And I have been working as a staff. This is my second year working as a staff. And one of the things that really pushed me to get into this adventure, a part of all the things that I have said, is that it's a big opportunity to serve with my profession. So I'm one of the only psychologists in the team of this staff. So it's really, really challenging, but it has also made me grow in so many different levels, and also the opportunity to keep on learning about how to do ministry, how to serve others, how to face different challenges. So it's pretty amazing what God is doing and what God has been doing in my life. So I'm just like super grateful to be part of this, and just trusting the Lord and expecting to see what else He is going to do. So thank you all for your prayers, and also for partnering with us and with Brett. So that's a little bit that I can share, and thank you for allowing me to do that, Brett, also.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much, Andrea. I'm pretty sure if I remember right, your first national camp was the same national camp that I came to do my exploratory visit on with when I was coming to see if I was going to live in Ecuador. So yeah, I remember I got to sit with her. Once we've talked it through and I made connections a bit, I remember, yeah, we got to sit and have a nice conversation on the beach with you and Tommy right when I first was kind of, yeah, exploring the idea of being a missionary in Ecuador. And so, yeah, fun to hear those same stories. And it's awesome seeing the work that Andrea does. She's going to be she constantly has her schedule completely full in terms of meeting up with students, especially at spaces like National Camp. Having the background in psychology keeps her very busy with good discipleship combos. And so she's actually going to be giving a workshop with Ruth later this coming week, specifically on, what is it, quarantine and, it's not mental health, it's like integral health. So yeah, it's one that we had done a few weeks ago, and we're going to do again since we're kind of 2 months in, as a way to care for students. So Andrea is a really cool staff and definitely brings a lot of gifts to what she does as a staff worker as well. And so I want to do a quick transition. So if you connected right before everything started, you will have heard some music already, but I had some music kind of playing before all of the Zoom party kicked off. But I want to go ahead and transition, and we've got a song that I want you guys to hear, because this is a song that's actually become a very special thing for CECE. It's a song that CECE staff and students came together along with an IFES guy from Mexico who's singer-songwriter, and worked on the CECE hymn effectively. So it's a song that is written by Ecuadorian students and staff. They came together for a weekend and kind of wrote most of it together. Maybe Ruth would be able to share even a little bit more later if I forget something, but it's something that it's born and bred out of the CECE movement. And so it's something that's become very special to us. This specific version was actually recorded recently in quarantine. So all of the different students sang in their own rooms, recorded it, and they had to put it all back together and layer the different tracks. They're from the city of Loja, which is very known for the different musical schools, very musical city. And so you're gonna hear the audio, it's gonna be in Spanish. It's the original version of what the song is for us, but I'll have this specific video has the lyrics in Spanish in one corner and English in the other. So you can choose whatever language you want to read. But this is the song. It's called Cristo en la Universidad, or Christ in the University. And so we'll go ahead and take a listen if I set it all up right. Hey, hey, hey! La, 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 la ciencia domina el momento, deja de lado la fe. Falta más conocimiento que nos conduzca hacia el bien. Esta palabra creadora que sustenta cada ser es la amistad redentora que queremos conocer. Es la amistad redentora que queremos conocer. Nuestra misión es proclamar a Cristo en la universidad. Nuestra misión es proclamar a Cristo en la universidad. La 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 la. Nos acosa el egoísmo, el nivel superficial. Desemboca en el abismo, distorsiona lo real. Esta palabra creadora que revela la verdad es fuerza generadora para hacer comunidad. Es fuerza generadora para hacer comunidad. Nuestra misión es proclamar a Cristo en la universidad. Nuestra misión es proclamar a Cristo en la universidad. La 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 la. Vamos valientes con fuerza, inquebrantable la fe, que nuestra vida esté inmersa en proclamar nuestra fe. Esta palabra creadora que brille en la oscuridad, en el dolor de esta hora es fuente de sanidad. En el dolor de esta hora es fuente de sanidad. Nuestra misión es proclamar a Cristo en la universidad. Nuestra misión es proclamar a Cristo en la universidad. La 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 la. Okay, to remember to speak English after that. I'm not used to doing Zoom meetings in Spanish very often, or in English very often. So listening to something in Spanish, my chip wanted to switch again. And so yeah, that's our national song that was written by Ecuadorian students. So it's really cool to see the initiative that they took, along with staff and a bunch of other people as well, just to really invest in something that represents Ecuador and kind of the space that they live on campus every single day. And so from that, I want to introduce the CECE Quito team leader. This is Josette Moya. She Yeah, I asked her to share specifically about how CECE is adapting and serving during the COVID-19 crisis. And so, Jules, I don't know which account you want audio on, so I'm going to send, we've got two. Do you have your microphone on, Jos? Is it working? Yes.
Thank you, Brett. Hi, everybody. I'm Jose. I'm 25 years old. I'm working in CECE for 3 years, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you, Brett, for letting me share this testimony and also be part of this virtual party. So, while I was preparing and thinking about those questions, a special song came to my mind, and it is a typical song of our community. The song is "We Must Speak and Carry Out the Truth." And in this first verse, the song goes like this: "We live in hard times, the world advances and doesn't stop changing, and the emptiness doesn't cease to exist, and you ask me what we can do." So this is the question that, as CECE, we ask ourselves, and now we are responding and acting. The song remains a reality in our mission file, and even more in this difficult situation and in this difficult time of COVID-19. CECE has adapted and responded during COVID-19 crisis in 3 specific ways regarding our mission file. The first one is improving the use of virtual tools, accompaniment for students in emotional crisis, financial support, and food kits for students and their families. First is the initiative to work through technological tools and make use of them in different spaces, whether with students, professionals, or staff, has been something constant. That's why in these days of COVID-19, we have strengthened it even more. The mission has continued, and we continue to share the gospel, forming disciples and serving in the university context and in the workplace of Ecuador. So how have we done it? Technology turns to be fear from some people. Facing new tools is almost always a challenge. That's why national students, leaders, and staff are being trained for a better use of the Zoom platform. We have prepared a manual which is called Facilitating University Groups, and another for large meeting via Zoom, something similar of what we're having tonight. And as CECE, we have kept doing our monthly meetings, sharing with all the students and professionals in our city. For national events, we have learned how to host virtual parties, celebrating the CECE anniversary, and closing also our CECE campaign called CECE de Corazón, with around 100 participants. Since April, and because of COVID-19, we are giving free workshops every week with issues relevant to the situation and necessary tools around discipleship and evangelism. We have also established a specific day of prayer guided by staff and also student leaders. As you can see, the mission has continued, and it's in some ways expanded. And here a little parenthesis, thank you to Brett for your wonderful effort in the area of communication and all the operative part by being the genius of the technology. So it has been a difficult time for all the staff members. We have to deal with a wave of emotions in this time caused by the news that we have heard and our own emotions for being in confinement. However, we have continued to guide the students, supporting them emotionally, and also having like virtual conversations by call or Zoom. So the gospel has been further put into practice, helping students and their families with a small but very significant financial support. In Quito, we are helping with food kits and giving monetary gifts in other cities to ensure students have basic needs met. So we have seen new students connecting, students who have invited their classmates to workshops, and now they want to be part of a university group Bible study. So the Give Up community has been a strength, although we are at a distance. We are praying for each other and even having virtual meeting games. The gospel in COVID-19 times has continued to spread nationwide to students and professionals, always with challenges, but trusting that from God and the Holy Spirit, we will continue to receive their inspiration and creativity. So, how everything looks so far, the classes will continue to be online, and therefore our university group meetings too. We pray and we trust that God help us to continue and have sufficient financial and emotional support to continue our work as a staff. So it is good to see that in the midst of chaos and adversity, God is in control and allow us to respond in a very important way. The experience using these tools also has been successful due to the way in which we work as a team, so that each virtual meetings are interactive and funny also. So we trust and pray, and we understood what the Bible says in Acts 1:8, you will receive the power of the Spirit. So thank you for hearing this testimony, and also for praying with us.
Awesome, thanks, Jos. It's always fun for me to hear coworkers speak in English because I don't get to hear it often, so it's fun for me too. Yeah, with Jos, she's her and me have kind of become a dream team in terms of working on Zoom. We've suffered through a lot in terms of figuring out how to make it work well, and so we've got a lot of practice now in terms of getting new spaces set up and trying to make things run smoothly. Emphasis on the trying. But Jos mentioned also the workshops that we've been having, and that was kind of a cool God-inspired thing, because we ended up starting that with this event called CECE de Corazón, and we thought we'll just do the 4 weeks, so 4 different workshops. That's a lot for us to try and maintain and add to the already hectic schedule, but we thought, you know, this will be good. And Ruth and Andrea actually made a workshop, the first version of the workshop for coronavirus and quarantine. In the Spanish accent there. It's coronavirus for me. It's never really been coronavirus. So, but yeah, they did their first version of that, and we, within a few weeks, were able to respond and create a space for students to start interacting with some of those topics. But that's been one that we actually saw. We were hoping for a few students to be able to connect and at least provide a space. And we were blown away to see 50 students on average connecting every single week. And last week, I think all of us were really surprised seeing the amount of students. We had almost 100 people connected last week to this workshop. And in the end, we decided, you know, let's keep going with these workshops, because it seems to be a good space to serve students, give them something to do, and be able to further develop in terms of evangelism and discipleship. So we've done a lot of different workshops lately, but and now I want to go ahead and do one more transition, and I'm going to invite Ruth to share. Ruth is our new national director. She took over in January. I'm sure she saw a lot of this coming. And so her questions that I kind of asked her to share about was like how she sees ministry changing in the coming months, maybe even thinking forward to for university context and ministry. What will it look like moving towards social distancing and moving back towards heading on campus? We have no idea when that is, but maybe looking towards that, and what maybe the future of ministry looks like.
Hi everyone. It's really great to connect with you all tonight, and I want to thank you for giving your time as well this evening to connect with this donor party. I think it's a great idea, but I know your time is valuable, so thank you very much. So yeah, I'm Ruth, and originally I'm from New Zealand, although I've lived in Ecuador about 20 years. So I started my time with IFES in the student group in New Zealand at Massey University, where I studied, and then I spent time in Canada with InterVaristy Canada, and also here now in Ecuador for almost 18 years. So I'm married to Josue. Josue is from Ecuador. He was the previous national director, and we have 2 daughters, a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. The challenges coming from this time, there's a lot of challenges. And I was thinking in terms of the book of Deuteronomy that we've been studying, and thinking a little bit about the Israelites when they were waiting on the side of the Jordan, on the desert side, before crossing into the promised land. And I'm not sure if we're actually going into the promised land, I think not. But I was just thinking of that sort of uncertainty and unknownness of what they were going to. And just yesterday, I was answering questions from the Bible studies in Deuteronomy with one of the student groups. And they were saying, why does Moses repeat so many times, remember? Why does he repeat so many times, don't forget? Why does he repeat so many times, listen, love the Lord your God, obey, choose? Those 4 verbs repeat so many times. And I was just thinking, I said to the students, I think part of it, we were talking about an oral context, but also it's just because we tend to forget. And they were probably worried, concerned. There was a lot of uncertainty about what they were going to be facing. And I think that's in some ways a little bit how we feel. So in terms of specific things, challenges for us, I think for us in Ecuador, as traffic lights change here, the risk of the health system collapsing and a lot more people actually becoming sick with COVID virus is actually very real. A lot of people the last month or so haven't been paying much attention to the restrictions, so that the cases are actually continuing and even rising rather than going down. So I think that's a constant risk for us, and will definitely shape what we do, in the sense that I think it'll be a long time before we have anything physical or face-to-face again, even with physical distancing. I think one of the other things is that the challenge of the inequality that is already existent, we know this at a global level, but also within Ecuador, is become more obvious and is going to continue becoming more obvious. So our students at private universities have been able to study almost normally because they can study online. Whereas our public universities, many students, really the universities aren't set up for online study. They've really done their best, but it's still quite limited. And then there's around 30%, according to one study at least, 30% of students at public universities don't have a computer or access to the internet. So even if their university does manage to get some classes online, many of them are still struggling to study. And that's something that we're praying and doing something about. We've had the chance to apply for a project through the US Embassy here in Quito to see if we can get hold of some computers and connection for students, kind of like a scholarship. So you could pray about that. It would be great if we'd be able to help the students. I think the other big challenge is the economic and political stability of Ecuador. We had big protests back in October, and people are very unhappy with the way the government have handled the situation. And really the economic situation is just very, very, very fragile. This government inherited from huge debt from the previous government. And so I think as a whole country, and we're supposed to have elections next year, and that's always a little bit kind of sensitive as well. So people individually are very much affected. As Josh said, we've been giving, helping food packages, support for students, because really many people are really on the breadline. So, and that's just going to get worse, I think. As an organization, we'll have to just wait and see. God has been very good and generous to us so far, but it could definitely affect giving to our staff. And it could affect, obviously, future events, that how much money students have to be able to pay for events. So I think, and the last challenge, I think too, is the whole, I think the students have really enjoyed, and a lot of them probably like more the online stuff than perhaps even face-to-face. A lot of students seem to interact more with this generation, and it will be really interesting to see what will happen when we do get to be physically present again. As I said, I don't think it'll be soon, and I'm not sure quite how that's going to work. We'll just have to wait and see. But that whole kind of transition and what that will, how that have changed people's way of relating to each other, and what the gospel actually calls us to relate to each other personally rather than not just online, I think will be an interesting challenge. In terms of the future, what do we want to keep doing? We want to keep sharing faithfully and creatively the gospel. And I think really encourage our students to be much more proactive about inviting students, about sharing the gospel. We're thinking a few more kind of more explicitly evangelistic things coming up. So yeah, working on that. We want to keep discipling well so that our students can keep serving and our young graduates can keep serving. We also want to continue to grow our staff team. It's amazing. We have just 2 new staff that started less than a month ago. We have 1 more who's just applying and another number of other graduate volunteers, which is, yeah, it's really a gift in the midst of such a difficult situation. And we also have a couple of staff who are finishing in the coming months. So it's really good to have replacement staff. But again, the challenge to get finance for them, to get support for them is also huge for us. And the final thing is to keep growing our pioneer groups and help them get consolidated. We have around 8 pioneer groups at the moment and potentially 2 more starting in the next wee while. It's been great to see 3 groups have really consolidated just during the quarantine and time. We've got new coordinators, they're really organized, they're reaching new students. It's just, it's quite amazing. So, but there's heaps more universities and heaps more students that need to hear the gospel. So those are some of the things that we'll continue to work towards. So thank you for supporting Brett to be here. He's a massively important part of our team as he leads our communications team. We really need graduates and students who can learn all the abilities that he has to be able to strengthen that team and keep doing more, because we know how important social media and communication is, and always has been, but it's been even more during this time. So we're very thankful for your support of him, and do keep praying for him, encouraging him, and giving generously and spread the word. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Ruth. Yeah, Ruth got to share a little bit about the idea of some of our workshops becoming even more intentionally evangelistic, and that was something that I got to have fun with a couple of weeks ago, 1.5 weeks ago. I got to lead a workshop specifically pointed at our student leaders called Mission During Quarantine. The Great Commission has not been put on pause, has not stopped. And it was a really cool space to specifically look at even how we can use social media and communication and this specific time that we're in to further develop a culture of invitation, interaction, and creativity. Because I think that's been something that's been really interesting to see how students have gotten super creative in responding. How as a ministry, whether we wanted to or not, we've had to become really creative in terms of responding. And so it's been really fun in a certain way to see how God can continue to work in ways that we didn't really do before, and we've seen growth through it. And so yeah, it's been, like I said, it's been really encouraging to see students intentionally inviting others to Bible studies and these workshop spaces and deep conversations. Even that workshop for our specific student leaders was an invitational space. We created it specifically for our student leaders, and as I was leading it, I started to notice that we had people from 3 different countries in our meeting, and I had no idea how they got there, but people were good at inviting, so we're gonna go with that they were applying it before they even knew. But yeah, it's been really fun for me. The same way over these last 4.5 years, I've loved seeing the student initiative and creativity that they've had, in which the gospel's been lived out and shared on campus. As many of you guys know, my original contract to work with CECE was for 2 years, from 2015 to 2017. and 2 years became 4. And then last year, with my participation in the World Assembly, 2 years or 4 years became 6. And so I had renewed for another 2 years. But just so you guys know, I will be finishing my time with InterVaristy and thus CECE in August of 2021. So we're actually starting to plan a process of transition. And so that's where Ruth was talking a little bit about what it can look like to have other students taking over some of my roles. That's kind of where we're starting to think. It's still 15 months away, somewhere around there, but the idea is we want to make sure that's a good transition, because I drive my staff team kind of crazy with launching new tools all the time to help them. They don't always see it as help sometimes. Fun new processes to learn with new software. But yeah, it's just a different way to try and serve and stay connected. And so I don't really know what's next yet. That's going to be a process for me in terms of discernment and walking with God in that process. But I'm more excited to see what God's going to do during these last 15 months that I've got, rather than focusing all of my time on what's next. So it's been awesome to just sit with students in even this new unexpected time, new unexpected way of doing ministry. But yeah, also trying to think through how are we going to transition well and leave a good legacy too. But I know that God's going to continue to do so much more during these months. But with that, I want to invite you guys to, I keep forgetting to move the slides forward. That was looking towards the future. With that, I want to invite you guys to consider partnering with the ministry for these remaining 15 months. And if you've been in any of my meetings or things like that before, there are usually 3 specific ways that I invite you guys to partner. It's either through prayer, donation, or advocacy. All 3 are super valuable. One person can do all 3, one person can do just one. All of them are super valuable and necessary for ministry. Prayer, as you know, is the foundation of everything that we do as a ministry. But as Ruth was even sharing, donations are necessary to be able to carry out what we do as well. And so if you wanted to donate either monthly or a one-time, that's an option. As it says with the little asterisk thing, all gifts are tax deductible to InterVarsity. But one specific request that I'm going to put there is that fiscal year end is coming up with InterVarsity. I'm currently overall with my budget about 70 to 75% funded. But as of right now, I'm needing to cover a $3,000 deficit to end this fiscal year in the black. And so that's a very specific prayer. So if you want to give to that $3,000 need in terms of ending fiscal year well, that's something that I'll leave that you guys can pray about. But I've definitely seen God working these past few years to provide. I know He's going to continue to do so for the ending of this time here in Ecuador, serving with CECE and InterVarsity. And so, yeah, if you feel so led to start a monthly gift or to give a one-time special gift towards this need, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about how you can do that. And it also connects with something else that I think everybody's going to want to at least participate in. But really quick, just with this other idea of advocacy, telling people about what God's doing in Ecuador, that's advocacy, letting people know. And I think this is a really cool aspect in terms of all of this. We don't talk about it as like fundraising, or like I don't like to use the word donor as much. I much tend to prefer the word ministry partner, because it's definitely that. I like to see how things can go both ways as well. I love being able to share, like what we did this last week with the blog in English, as a space for you guys to connect with the movement and grow, and it to be a discipleship space and even a growth space potentially for you as well. So I like things to go both ways. And it's so much of you guys being able to share as well what is going on in Ecuador. It can challenge yourself to share the good news with others. So it's just different ways to advocate for what God's doing and even push yourselves out of your comfort zones a little bit. Another way for advocacy is if you know your church missions meeting or missions budget meeting is coming up and there's space for a new ministry, things like that are really helpful in terms of ministry here. But those are the 3 different ways. That connects with this next thing. I'm about to share a link in the chat, and everybody's welcome to go ahead and fill this out. But I recognize that it's not a party if there's not some sort of gift or prize. So we're going to do that as well. So to thank you guys just for even connecting and being here tonight, I'm going to give away one $25 InterVarsity Press book giveaway. So on the InterVarsity Press website. Anything that you want, up to $25. Let me know whichever digital book you want for the person that wins. And I'm more than happy to give that as a thank you to someone. And so I just shared a link to a Google form in the Zoom chat. And so if you want to click on that, and you can fill that out. And there are different options. It connects also with the idea of donation and prayer. And then even advocacy, there's an option for I have questions or something like that. Feel free to check that if you have questions around advocacy. But yeah, specifically in this form, you can use a, there's an option for I want to do a one-time gift, a monthly gift, I just want to pray, or I'm only interested in the book giveaway, and that's a totally valid option as well. So feel free to fill that out. I'm going to choose a winner tomorrow because it's getting late here and I don't want to make everybody stay awake waiting for that. But that's an option. So feel free, that link is kind of for everything in terms of call to action or last steps, be it for prayer, donation, advocacy, or the book giveaway. So go ahead and fill that out. And while you're doing that, let's see. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to end this official time together, taking a couple extra minutes of your guys' time. And I just want to share some prayer requests. You heard some from Ruth earlier, but here are some specific ways if you want to include some of the ones that Ruth had shared earlier. You could also take a screenshot of this, this slide if you wanted to save it as well. But some specific prayer requests that you can be praying for is for those that are mourning the loss of loved ones due to COVID-19. Death count is high, and in the sense that there are a lot that have been affected either directly or indirectly. And then yeah, prayer for just the transition to the yellow classification and the opening of commerce and how that's going to work. There's still a lot of questions regarding that. For continued creativity and serving students during the current context, for families suffering from economic hardship, for the consolidation of these pioneering groups that we mentioned that are being planted throughout the country, and also just even for continued financial support of the ministry, be it my specific role within InterVarsity and CECE as a whole. Those are some very specific prayer requests that we can leave with you. But I just wanted to thank you guys for participating. If you enjoyed this, let me know. I'm considering doing one potentially next month. It would be completely different in the sense that we would have potentially different people that would participate, a different theme, but just different ways to continue to stay connected.